Exercises. Let's just continue answering our exercises for capital assets. Let's go to problem number 7. Okay, problem number 7, Mr. X sold his principal residence at a selling price of 5 million but with fair market value of 6 million. The property sold was acquired for 3 million. O yung 3 million yung cost, no? 5 million is the selling price, fair market value 6 million. He purchased his new principal residence at a cost of 7 million. Now, yung principal residence class, yun yung pwedeng exception dito sa sale of real property. Remember? So, recap muna tayo dun sa G-sheets natin. Makikita mo dyan, yung principal residence is can be exempt from CGT. Okay? Ito yung mga criteria natin. So, requisites. Ulitin na natin. Dapat principal residence, resident citizen, resident alien. The proceeds were used to acquire new principal residence. Dapat i-notify si BIR 30 days, within 30 days. And then yung reacquisition new residence within 18 months. And then mag-cash deposit sa accredited bank equal to the capital gains tax. And number 7 is, avail mo lang siya once every 10 years. Now class, kapag may given na principal residence a problem, no, i-assume natin na na-meet niya yung criteria dyan, yung mga requisites. Okay? Sige. Tingnan natin class. Okay, so question number 1, how much is the basis or cost of the new principal residence? Compute mo natin class for number 7 yung capital gains tax. Now, if hindi niya ma-meet yung criteria, okay, compute natin yung CGT. Yung CGT dyan is computed as, well, yung fair market value is higher, so 6 million times 6%. Okay, 6 million times 6% is 360,000. Ayan, so ito yung CGT natin. If hindi niya ma-meet yung criteria. Let's go to question number 1. How much is the basis or cost of the new principal residence? Plus, pag sinabing basis or cost, ibig sabihin, iyan yung magiging tax base nung bagong residence for future tax purposes. Okay, ganun siya. Ganito yung computing class. Di ba meron tayong cost na 3 million? Tama? Iyan yung old acquisition cost or acquisition price ng old residential house, okay? Or principal residence. Now, ngayon, take note na sabi dyan, he purchased his new principal residence at a cost of 7 million. So, ganito yung class. Ito yung additional cost mo ngayon. Ito yung original cost, 3 million. Yung additional cost mo, di ba, ang ginastos mo ay 7 million. Tama? Ang binenta mo siya, 5 million. So, yung difference siya na 2 million, capitalizable yan, okay, sa new principal residence. That's why, answer natin dito class, yung new cost is 5 million, which is letter B. Got it? So, old cost plus yung excess na ni-utilize natin, binenta natin for 5M, pero ang ginastos mo is 7M. So, therefore, gumastos ka ng an additional 2 million, okay? Capitalizable yan. That's why 5 million yung sagot natin. This is question 1, okay? Question number 2, if only 4 million out of 5 million was utilized in acquiring his new principal residence, what is the CGT? Now, dapat class, para maging exempt ka, kung magkano mo binenta, dapat fully utilized yun. Okay? In this case, sabi dyan class, out of 5 million, 4 million lang yung utilize mo. Tama ba ganito yan? Yung CGT natin, okay, na 360,000, since 4 million lang yung ginastos mo out of 5 million, okay, sa new principal residence, therefore, 1 million out of 5 million, babayaran mo yan. Okay? So, 360 times 1 over 5, you get 72,000. Ito yung babayaran mo. Right? Kaya answer natin class is boy. Pwede mong isipin na ganito. Yung 360,000, okay, na total capital gains tax ng 100%, okay, yung 4 over 5 niyan, exempt. Tama? So ano yung 4 over 5 niyan? 360 times 4 over 5, 288,000. Tama? And then yung 1/5 niyan, ito yung magiging subject to CGT, which is 72,000. Got it? So 288 to 72, you have 360,000. Pwede mo isipin na ganito. Okay, let's go to number 3. Question number 3. Using the preceding number, the basis or cost of the new principal residence. What if daw 1 million o 4 million lang yung ni-utilize natin? Ano na yung magiging cost of the new principal residence? Ganito yung class. Yung old cost natin is 3 million. Tama? Now, since 4 million out of 5 million lang yung ni-utilize natin, ang magiging computation mo dyan class, ipo-prorate natin times 4 over 5. Okay? So 3 million times 4 over 5, you get 2.4 million. 2.4 million, ito yung new cost, okay? Or the basis or cost of the new principal residence. Got it? Unlike dito, sa question number 1 kasi class, sobra yung ni-utilize natin. Tama? Instead of, ang utilize mo lang is 5 million, sobra, gumastos ka pa ng additional 2 million. Kaya kinapitalize natin yan. On the other hand, sa question number 3, kulang naman yung i-utilize mo. Okay? Instead of utilizing 5 million, 4 million lang. Kaya 3 million times 4 over 5, 2.4 million is our new cost. Okay? So question number 1 is boy, question number 2 is boy, and question number 3 is also boy. Okay? Let's go to number 8. Let's go to number 8. Okay, Mr. X, citizen and resident of the Philippines, sold his principal residence in the Philippines for 6 million, which had a cost to him 4 million. Okay, selling price is 6 million. Fair market value is 6.5. Siyempre, whichever is higher yung basis natin. The proceeds of the sale were not invested, okay, in the new principal residence, but instead, new funds from bank loan of 7 million were used. Ganito ang nangyari, class. Binenta niya yung principal residence, pero yung proceeds doon, sa iba niya ginamit. Okay? And then nag-borrow siya sa bank, okay, amounting to 7 million. Yun yung ginamit niya pang-construct ng new principal residence. Hindi niya na-meet yung criteria natin. Kasi dapat yung proceeds, yung actual proceeds from the sale, yun dapat yung ginamit mo. Since nag-borrow siya dito, hindi siya exempt from CGT. Gets? Okay. Question number 1, the CGT on the sale is, well, if whichever is higher, mas mataas is fair market value, 6.5 million times 6%. Okay, 6.5 times 6%, you get 390,000. Sagot natin, class, CGT is 390, and then what is the basis of the new principal residence, or ano daw yung cost of the new principal residence? Well, kung magkano yung bago, 7 million. Ignore na natin yung old na cost. Tama? Bago na, kung magkano mo kinonstruct ngayon. Kasi hindi na sila related. Ang ginamit mo sa new residence mo is proceeds from the bank. Hindi mo ginamit yung pinagbentahan mo from the old residence. That's why yung new cost mo is 7 million. Okay? Parang isipin mo na totally separate transactions silang dalawa. Okay, so that is 390 and 7 million. That's letter C for question 1. Question number 2, if only 4.5 million of the proceeds were invested in the new principal residence, the CGT and the basis is, so nalagay dito, class, yung proceeds naman yung ginamit. Hindi siya nag-borrow sa bank. Okay? Paano gagawin natin dyan, sir? Yung CGT natin na 390,000, okay? Yung how much natin binenta? Binenta natin for 6 million, okay? 6 million. So yung 4.5 over 6, and then meron ka 1.5 over 6. Yung 4.5 over 6, yun yung exempt, tama? So 3.9 million, 390,000 times 4.5 divided by 6, 292,500. 292,500, ito yung exempt, tama? I-utilize natin yan. Yung 390,000 times 1.5 over 6, 97,500, ito yung babayaran natin na CGT. Alright? Tama? So 97,500. Okay, what is the basis or the cost of the new principal residence? Okay, lagyan natin cost or basis. Well, prorate lang natin. Yung old cost niya is 4 million. Kita mo yan sa problem? And then prorate natin siya. So ang ginastos lang natin is 4.5 over 6. 4 million times 4.5 divided by 6, you get 3 million. Answer, 97.5 and 3 million, that is letter D or dog. Okay? Plus, ingat ka dito. Yung pag-prorate natin, okay? Yung pag-prorate natin na ganyan, saan pa? This one, lagi mong gagamitin yung selling price. Okay? So computation ng capital gains tax, yung basis mo is higher between selling price and fair market value. Tama? Pero pag magpo-prorate ka na, okay, selling price. Kasi dyan kinukuha yun yung actual proceeds mo eh. Tama? Yun yung how much mo talaga nagbenta yung old principal residence mo. Got it? Okay, so that's number 8. Let's go to number 9. Number 9, Mr. X sold his residential land in Cagayan de Oro for 5 million, fair market value 6 million. The proceeds were used to build principal residence in Cebu. Okay, he informed the BIR within 30 days from the date of sale that he intended to use the proceeds to build a new principal residence. What was the tax consequence of the sale? Okay. Okay sana, na-meet sana niya lahat ng requisites natin. Ang problema dito, class, ang binenta niya, hindi talaga principal residence. Okay? Ang binenta niya is residential lot. Okay? Lupa lang yung binenta niya. Dapat, syempre, kasama yung house and yung lot mismo. Tama? Doon kung saan nakatira. Okay? Since ang wording na ginamit dito is residential land, okay? Dapat ang wording na ginamit dyan is principal residence, hindi ito magka-qualify sa exemption ng CGT natin. Therefore, answer natin dito, class, is letter B. Mr. X should pay a capital gains tax of 360,000. 360,000 is computed as fair market value, which is higher between the two, times 6%, you get 360. Boy, yung sagot natin sa number 9. So, ingat ka doon ha. Yung residential kasi, yun yung classification ng land. Pero hindi necessary na yun yung principal residence. Got it? Okay, dapat house and lot yan. Let's go to number 10. Number 10, okay. Ayan, actually number 10 is a very good question, no? So, class, pag nakasunod ka sa number 10, okay ka na sa capital assets. Okay, gets mo na yung topic natin. So, very comprehensive, no? Ayan, so hopefully, masundan mo yung discussion natin sa number 10. Sige, so let's take a look at the question. Sabi dyan, determine the taxable income of Mr. X. Okay, so let's read the given. Mr. X, a Filipino citizen, reported the following information for taxable year 2021. Net sales, 1 million. Business expense, or yung allowable deductions natin, 600,000. We have rental income, net of 5% withholding tax. Class, i-gross up nga natin yan. So kung net of 5%, 237,500 divided by 95%, you should get 250,000. So write it down, 250,000. So we know, yun yung gagamitin mo natin. Dapat gross amount muna. Okay? Dividend received from a resident foreign corporation. So class, pag ang naka-receive is citizen, resident citizen, from a resident foreign corporation, ano yung taxation natin dyan? Anong tax rate yan? Let's say, it's part of ordinary income. Ordinary income yan. So papasok sa tax table natin yan. 50,000. Okay? Dividend income received from domestic. So from domestic to resident citizen, it's final withholding tax of 10%. So actually, pwede mo na ignore yan kasi taxable income yung pinapahanap sa atin. So ignore mo yan kasi subject to final tax. Royalties from books, 10% final withholding tax. So, hindi natin siya isasama sa computation natin. Interest on local currency bank deposit, 20% final withholding tax. So lahat ng subject to final withholding tax, hindi yan kasama sa computation ng taxable income. That's other transactions related to sale of properties are as follows. The dates of purchase are shown in parentheses. Assets used in business. Kasi ano ibig sabihin nun? Assets used in business. Ordinary assets. Tama? Pag ordinary assets, tingnan natin. Compute natin yung gain or loss. Doon muna tayo sa machinery 2016. Okay, meron kang cost, meron kang accumulated depreciation. Tama ba class? Yung book value niyan is 600,000. So kung paano ka mag-compute ng gain or loss in accounting, ganun din sa taxation. So yung selling price natin na 500 minus 600,000 book value, for machinery, meron kang 100,000 na loss. Okay? Class, may question ako sa inyo. 2016 yan, di ba? May concept ba ng holding period pagdating sa ordinary assets? Wala. Okay? Actually, pang trick lang yan, yung nasa parenthesis na yan. Kasi pag ordinary assets, wala akong sinabi dito na may holding period yan. Hindi mag-a-apply yung holding period for ordinary assets. Only for capital assets and dapat individual. Okay? Land. So meron tayong land, 500,000 and then yung selling price and then our cost is 450. Okay? So class, take note hindi ibig sabihin ng land na yan, hindi ibig sabihin niya sale of real property na capital asset. Hindi. Kasi naalala mo class yung fourth example natin ng ordinary asset, nakalagay doon, real property used in business such as land and building. Ibig sabihin, yung land, pwede siya maging ordinary asset, pwede maging capital asset. Pag ginagamit mo siya sa business, ordinary asset siya. Like this one. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, class, 500,000 minus 450, meron tayong gain na 50,000 for land. Write it down. 50,000 gain. For the warehouse naman, yung selling price natin is 25 million. And then, yung book value natin, 29.5 minus 5 million, 24.5 million. Tama? Ibig sabihin, 25 million minus 24.5, 500,000 gain for the warehouse. So, make sure na sulat mo yun. 500,000 gain. Let's go to capital assets. Jewelry. Okay? Selling price, 625. And then, 450,000 yung cost natin. Tama ba yung gain natin class is 175,000? So, write it down. 175,000 gain. Tama ba? 2018 binili yan. And then, yung tinatanong is 2021. So, ibig sabihin, long-term to. Tama? Multiply natin by 50%. Write it down. 87,500. Okay? Long-term capital gain yan. Doon tayo sa land. Binenta ng 2 million. Cost niya is 2,250. Ito na class yung land na subject to capital gains tax na 6%. Tama? Kasi nakalagay dyan capital asset, tapos land. So, subject to CGT yan. So, yung CGT niyan is 2 million times 6% or 120,000. Since capital gains tax yan, hindi yan papasok ng gross income natin. Okay? Again, ipapasok lang ng gross income, those items na hindi subject to final withholding tax and capital gains tax. Kaya this one, hindi na yan sasama sa computation natin. Okay? Next, furniture and fixtures. Meron tayong 25,000 selling price and then we have 100,000 cost. Meron tayong 75,000 na loss. Pero take note class 2017 yan. So it's long term. Multiply natin by 50%. Write it down. 37,500 loss for furniture. Okay. Last one is share of stocks. Traded. Okay. So kapag traded, subject to stock transaction tax, which is 6/10 of 1%. Hindi rin yan kasama sa taxable income natin. Okay? Actually, next time, aralin natin siya sa other percentage tax. So for this one, ignore mo yan. Hindi yan kasama. Okay, not traded, yun yung kasama. Pag not traded, compute natin yung gain, 750,000 minus 450. Sorry. Pag not traded, hindi pa rin kasama. Okay? So, take note class, basta shares of stocks, hindi yan kasama sa computation natin ng taxable income. Bakit sir? Kasi kapag listed or traded, stock transactions tax. Kapag naman not listed, capital gains tax. So, in either way, either case, hindi yan papasok ng taxable income. Gets? Compute na rin natin yung CGT, 750 minus 450 times 15%, you get 45,000. So, capital gains tax, 45,000. Okay? So, pwede natin computing class yung taxable income for this problem. Start muna tayo with net sales. Okay? Net sales natin, which is 1 million. Tama? Nasa given yan. We have business expenses. Business expenses amounting to 600,000. And then, meron tayong rental income. So, class, how much nga ba yung rental income natin? It's 250,000. Right? Okay. Laging gross amount yan. Tama? And then, what else? Meron tayong dividend from RFC. Dividend from RFC amounting to 50,000. Alright? And then, meron tayong ordinary asset transactions. So, ordinary assets natin, if you remember yung machinery, meron tayong loss na 100,000. For land, we have gain na 50. For warehouse, we have gain na 500,000. Plus, take note, ordinary assets, wala tayong concept ng holding period, wala tayong concept ng limit pagdating sa capital, sa loss, walang ganun. So, walang limit dito. Kasi ordinary asset, meaning, ginagamit natin sa business yan. Okay, next, let's go to capital assets. Actually, dalawa lang yan. Yung jewelry earlier. Yung jewelry natin, na-compute natin, meron tayong gain na 87.5. Tama? And then, yung furniture and fixtures, meron tayong loss na 37.5. So, mas mababa yung loss natin than the gain. So, okay lang. Wala tayong net capital loss. Okay, so taxable income natin, class. For this problem, let's compute 1 million minus 600,000. Okay, plus 250, plus 50, minus 100, plus 50,000, plus 500, plus 87.5, minus 37.5. You should get 1.2 million. Net taxable income for problem number 10 is 1.2 million. Okay. So, class, hopefully nakafollow ka doon. Kasi pag nakafollow ka dyan, okay na. Ibig sabihin, naintindihan mo talaga yung lesson natin for today. Alright, class, for number 11, okay, balik muna tayo sa G-sheets natin before we discuss that. For number 11, class, makikita mo after dito sa baba, no? Nakalagay basis for determining gain or loss of property. Now, alam natin, class, na yung gain or loss. Okay, pag nagko-compute tayo for ordinary assets, for capital assets, selling price minus the cost. Tama? Yun yung gain or loss natin. Now, selling price, walang problema yan. Kung magkano mo binenta, kung magkano na-receive mo from the buyer, that's your selling price. Ngayon, class, sa cost natin, dito tayo may issue. Okay? Kasi sa tax code, depende yan. Okay? Magdidepende yan kung paano mo in-acquire yung property. Okay? Tignan natin yung rules. Meron tayong 4 things na kailangan tandaan. Number 1, purchase. Pag binili mo yung property, tapos binenta mo, yung cost nun is kung magkano mo binili. Kaya nakalagay dyan, basis is cost. Gets? Inheritance, minana mo. Okay? Pag minana mo siya, tapos binenta mo, yung cost mo is kung ano yung fair market value at the time of inheritance. Gets? Kung ano yung fair market value, nung inherit mo siya, yun yung computation mo ng gain or loss. Yun yung cost mo. Okay? Later, i-apply natin yan sa problem natin. Donation. Okay, ito yung trick dyan sa donation. May nag-donate sa'yo. Okay? May nagregalo sa'yo. Same as it would be in the hands of the donor or the last preceding owner by whom it was not acquired by gift. Okay, later, papakita ko yan. Pero basically, nag-donate sa akin, tama? Binenta ko. Sabi dyan, as if daw, si donor yung nagbenta sa kanya. So, ganun yung may analysis natin. Okay? Next naman, if acquired by less than full or adequate consideration, amount paid by the transferee. Ganito yung class. Binenta sa akin, ang selling price, 5 million. Ngayon, natawaran ko. Okay? Kasi barkada ko, natawaran ko. 3 million lang yung binenta ko sa kanya. Ang tanong, class, so binenta ko din siya ulit. Ano yung cost ko nun? 5 million or 3 million? Answer, 3 million. Nakalagay dyan, amount paid by the transferee. Okay? So, syempre, medyo magulo pa as of now. Para malinaw yan, sagutan natin yung number 11. Okay? Number 11. Number 11, scenario number 1. Okay, scenario 1. A sold this land to B for 17,000. The land costing 20,000 was inherited by A from his father. Okay, where the time it was inherited, the fair market value of such land amounted to 15 million. Class, pag na-inherit, ano yung rule natin? Sabi dyan, sa second, fair market value at the date of inheritance. What is the fair market value at the date of inheritance? 15,000. And the fair market of such land amounted to 15,000. So take note, pag magko-compute ng gain si A, gain or loss, meron siyang selling price amounting to 17,000 and then yung cost niya, ang gagamitin niya, class, hindi yung, nakalagay dyan, the land costing 20,000, hindi yung cost nung father niya, okay? Ang gagamitin natin, since na-inherit siya, fair market value at the date of inheritance, which is 15,000. Answer mo dito, class, 2,000 gain. Clear? Dali pa, tama? Scenario 1, okay pa yan. Let's go to scenario 2. Scenario 2. Okay, assume A acquired the land through gift from C. Okay, kung gagawa tayo ng example, so si C, or illustration, binigay niya as gift yan kay A, tama? And then, from his grandfather. At the time of gift, the fair market of such land is 21,000. So class, lahat to si A binenta yung land kay B. Yun yung base scenario natin. Okay, si A binenta yung land kay B for 17,000. And then, binenta yan kay B for 17,000. Ayan, ganyan nangyari dyan eh. Now, how much daw yung gain or loss na i-record ni A? Kasi siya yung nagbenta. Selling price, always 17,000. Yung cost natin dito, class, is, ano yan? Ano gagamitin natin dyan? Actually, ang gagamitin mo dyan is, di ba, binigay ng gift ni C kay A, tama? How much yung cost ni C? 20,000. Pag tingnan mo yung number 3 dito, nakalagay, same, di ba, ano yan, through gift, ibig sabihin donation, same as it would be in the hands of the donor. Sino yung donor? Si C. As if, si C, yung nagbenta kay B. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. That's why si A, pag magko-compute siya ng gain, 17,000 minus 20,000. Ayun, hindi may loss siya, 3,000. Okay? O, nag-gets mo yung class kung bakit yun yung ibig sabihin ng same as it would be in the hands of the donor. Is as if si donor yung nagbenta. Okay? Parang pass-through lang si A dyan. Parang ganun. Let's go to scenario 3. Ayan, papahirap yan. Scenario 3. Assume A acquired the land through gift from C. Okay, so si C binigay as gift kay A. Ayan. His grandfather. C also acquired such land by donation from D. So si C, nakuha niya yan, donation naman from D. Ayan. And then, D acquired the land through purchase at 16,000. Okay, so si D, binili niya yan from the seller. Tama? How much binili ni D? Amounting to 16,000. Okay, 16,000. At the time it was received by C from D, the land was valued at 20. C from D, 20,000 to. Tama? Tama ba? So, at the time it was received by C from D, okay, yung value niya is 20,000. Tama? At the time of donation from C to A, the fair market value is 21,000. Ayan, dami nangyari, sir. Binili ni D from the seller, dinonate niya kay C, si C niregalo niya kay A. Sir, paano nakukumpiti ni C yan yung gain or loss niya? Selling price, okay? Si A pala, sorry. And then si A, binenta niya yan kay B, okay? Si A, binenta niya yan kay B for 17,000. Ayan, so paano kukumpiti ni A yung gain or loss niya? Selling price is always 17,000. Ayan, so ganito kasi gagawin natin dyan. Same as it would be in the hands of the donor or the last preceding owner by whom it was not acquired by gift. Ang ibig sabihin ng class, ito gagamitin mo. Kasi yung last preceding owner, tama ba yung last preceding owner, si C, nakuha din niya from donation yan eh. Tama? Nakalagay dyan, by whom it was not acquired by gift. Ibig sabihin, nagre-refer tayo kay D. Kasi hindi naman na-donate kay D yan. Binili niya yan. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, class, yung magiging cost natin is kung magkano binili ni D. Okay? Therefore, meron tayong gain na 1,000. Class, yun yung ibig sabihin ng or the last preceding owner by whom it was not acquired by gift. Yun yung ibig sabihin natin. In-acquire na yan. Okay? Hindi niregalo sa kanya, basically. Ito yung answer natin for scenario 3. Let's go to scenario 4. Assume A acquired the land through gift from C. Ito siya, gift from C. And then, C also acquired land by donation from D. Okay? D acquired the land through purchase at 21,000. So, instead of 16, 21,000. Okay? So, scenario number 4. Alright. At the time it was received C from D, the land was valued at 17. Ito, 17. Iniba ko lang yung amounts, ha? And then, at the time of donation from C to A, okay, the fair market value is 19. Ayan. So, ito yung mga ibang amounts. Underline ko, 21, 17, and 19. Ayan. Okay, A sold such land to B for 17,000. So, now class, sa scenario number 4 natin, okay, how much yung magiging gain or loss? Selling price is 17,000. Yung cost natin dito, sir, paano gagawin natin dyan? Tama ba, yung last owner, yung preceding owner na hindi na-acquire through gift is D. 21,000 dapat. 21,000. Therefore, yung loss natin is 4,000. Okay? Kaya lang class, meron nakalagay na exception dito. Except, the fair market value at the time of donation is lower. Okay? So, ibig sabihin class, meron ka pang isang titignan dito. At the time of donation, okay, ano ba yung at the time of donation? Donate ni CKA. That is 19,000. Tama? So, ngayon, yung 19,000 is lower than 21,000. In that case, ang gagamitin natin is the 19,000. Huwag mo yung class? So, ibig sabihin, 17,000 selling price, 19,000 dapat yung maging cost natin. Answer natin dito, class, final answer is 2,000. Yan talaga yung sagot mo. Loss na 2,000. Bakit ganun, sir? Yung rule. Ito tatandaan mo, class. Kaya ganyan yung rule, ang gusto ni BIR, mas mababa yung loss. Kasi kapag ang ginamit mo is 21, yung loss mo 4,000. Mas malaki yung deductible expense mo. Tama? Ngayon, pag 2,000 yung ginamit mo, mas mababa yung loss. Mas mataas yung collection si BIR, basically. Kasi mababa expense mo, mataas taxable income mo, mas mataas yung tax na babayaran kay BIR. Kaya merong exception to the rule. Okay? Ulit, ang general rule natin, sino yung preceding owner na hindi in-acquire through gift? Ito yun. Okay? Except, at the time of donation, ito hindi ito. At the time of donation, mas mababa yan than this one. Kanina kasi class, sa scenario 3, yung fair market value at the time of donation, 21,000, is higher than this one. Kaya ginamit natin 16. So, scenario 4, since lower siya, lower yung ginamit natin, 19. Okay? Scenario number 5, assume A. Okay? So, alisin muna natin to class para hindi magulo. Erase ko na. Actually, yun pa rin yata yung given dyan. Tingnan natin, ha? So, tingnan natin. Alright, so scenario number 5, assume A acquired the land through gift from C. Okay. C also acquired such land from D. D acquired land through purchase of 19,000. So si D, binili niya yan for 19,000. Okay. And then, at the time it was received by C from D, the land was valued at 17. At the time of donation from C to A, the fair market value of the land is 23,000. A sold the land for 17. Okay, so paano yung gain or loss ni A? Scenario number 5, right? So yung selling price natin is still 17,000. Yung cost natin, analyze natin class. So yung last preceding owner is 19. Fair market value at the time of donation is 23. So ibig sabihin, since higher naman to, ang gagamitin natin is 19,000. So 19,000, therefore, sagot natin class for scenario 5 is loss 2,000. Alright, ganun na siya. And last one, scenario number 6. Scenario 6. Ano nangyari dyan, sir? A sold this car for 25,000 to B. Okay, binenta kay B. 25,000. The car was acquired 2 years ago from S. So si S yung nagbenta kay A. The car was valued at 21,500 on the date of acquisition. However, A was able to convince S to buy the car for only 16. So ang selling price talaga niyan, 21,500, natawaran ni A. Binenta lang sa kanya ni S ng 16,000. Right? So paano ko compute ni A yung gain or loss niya? Selling price, 25,000. Plus ano yung magiging cost natin dito? Is it 16,000 or yung 21,500? Actually, sabi dyan, yung sa fourth one, amount paid by the transferee. Ang binayaran ni A kay S is 16. Therefore, yun yung magiging basis mo. Okay? 25,000 minus 16, meron kang gain na 9,000. Sagot natin, gain 9,000 for scenario number 6. Plus, take note, ganun yung rule kasi, ganito yan. Kapag ang ginawa mo, 25,000, okay? And then, ang ginamit mong cost is yung 21,500. Tama ba? 4,500 to? Tama? 4,500? Ibig sabihin, class, ayaw ni BIR niyan. Kasi ang gusto niya, mas mataas yung gain. Kasi pag mas mataas yung gain mo, mas mataas yung taxable income, mas mataas yung tax na babayaran mo kay BIR. Okay? Tandaan mo lang, so diniscuss natin dito sa basis for determining gain or loss, ang gusto ni BIR, mas mababang loss and mas mataas na gain. Okay? Para mas madali mo maalala. Alright, so I believe yun na yung last item natin sa problems. Double check ko lang class, ako nasagutan natin lahat. Okay, okay. So I think okay naman, nasagutan natin lahat. Let's go to the theory questions. But before we go to the theory, tignan muna natin class kung may na-miss out pa tayo sa G-sheets. Ito. Sa last portion ng G-sheets natin, nakalagay dyan, transactions deemed exchange. Okay. So sa lahat ng napag-aralan natin so far, ang assumption natin class, yung mga properties na yan, binibenta natin. Okay? Kaya tayo may selling price. Diba? Selling price minus cost, yun yung gain or loss natin. Ngayon, may mga transactions na kahit wala kang na-receive na cash, ang assumption sa tax code, meron kang gain or loss doon. Okay? Ito yung mga instances wherein meron tayong gain or loss kahit wala tayong cash na na-receive. Number 1, or letter A, retirement of bonds, debentures, notes, stock certificates, or certificates or other evidence of indebtedness. Letter B, short sale of properties. Okay? Letter C, failure to exercise a privilege or option to buy. Pag bumili ka ng call option, di mo in-exercise, yun yung ibig sabihin yan. Securities becoming worthless. Bumili ka ng shares, na-bankrupt yung company, naging zero, yung stock price nun, yun, worthless yun. Receipt of liquidating dividends, okay, redemption of shares or cancellation or retirement, buyback of shares or yung mga treasury shares. Actually class, yung A to G na yan, medyo familiarize mo yung sarili mo dyan, lahat yan na-encounter natin sa FAR. Tama? Except in short sale, yung letter B. Doon yun lang yung gusto kong i-highlight dyan. Sir, ano ba ibig sabihin ng short sale? Short sale or short selling, ganito yung ibig sabihin niyang class. Actually, nag-a-apply yan sa mga stocks. No? And in fact, sa Philippines, I believe na si SEC, inalaw na niya yung short selling. No? And si PSE naman, parang as of now, so today, pina-finalize na niya yung mga rules on short selling. No? Pero yeah, I believe inalaw na siya ng SEC sa Philippines. Paano ba sir nangyayari yung short selling na yan? For example, class, si Mr. X is an investor. No? Sa short selling, ang unang step dyan, magbaborrow siya ng stock. Borrow a stock. Hihiramin niya muna. Okay? And then second one, ibebenta niya yung stock. Let's say, sells the stock for 10. Okay? Kung gagawa tayo ng graph, ganito siya. So, dito siya binarrow ni X, okay? 10 pesos. Tama? Dito siya nag-borrow, dito din siya nag-sell. Ayan, at 10. Now, let's say bumaba yung stock price. Naging ano siya? Naging, let's say this one. Let's say naging 7. Okay? Naging 7, from 10 to 7. Ang gagawin niya dyan, iba-buy back niya yan. So, buys back the stock for 7. Ayan. And then, pag buy back niya, babalik na niya. Returns the stock to the lender. To the lender. Yan yung short selling. Ulitin ko ha. Short selling, nag-apply siya sa mga bibili ka ng shares. Okay? Usually sa PSE. Ihiram ka ng stock. First step, hiram ka 10 pesos, for example natin. No, hindi rin mo, binenta mo rin. Okay, at 10 pesos. Ngayon, ine-expect mo na yung stock na yan, stock price yan bababa. Magiging 7. Bibilin mo siya sa 7. Tama? Therefore, kumita ka ng 3 pesos. Nung binili mo na 7, binalik mo kasi binaro mo lang yan eh. Kaya binalik mo yan dun sa nagpautang sa'yo. Nagpahiram sa'yo ng stock. Gets? So, hiram mo, benta, pag bumaba, buy back, and then balik mo dun sa lender. Kumita ka ng 3 pesos. Ang risk dito, pag tumaas yung stock price. So, instead of bumaba ng 7, let's say naging 15 siya. Yun, lugi-lugi ka dun kasi ang babayaran mo is 15 pesos. Gets? Okay. So, again, pag short selling, ang ina-anticipate mo dyan, bababa yung stock price. Okay, anyway, so yun yung transactions deemed exchange. Ibig sabihin, we recognize gain or loss pa din for these transactions kahit wala kang natanggap talaga na cash or hindi ka nagbenta. Alright? Let's go to the theory questions class para matapos na yung handouts natin. Let's go to number 1. The term capital assets includes A. Stock in trade or other property included in the taxpayer's inventory. That's an ordinary asset. That's an inventory. B. Property primarily for sale to customers in the ordinary course of his trade or business. That's an ordinary asset. Okay, ito yung mga example ko dito, condo units of the property developers. Letter C, property used in trade or business subject to depreciation such as equipment and machinery. Again, this is an ordinary asset. Letter D, real property not used in trade or business. Yun yung capital asset. Again, major difference between capital and ordinary asset. Pag ordinary, used in business. Pag capital, well, not necessarily used in business. Okay? Dog yung answer natin for number 1. Number 2, which of the following is classified as a capital asset? A. Real properties acquired in the ordinary course of business, habitually engaged. So again, ordinary asset yan. Boy, real properties of the real estate lessor, whether land or improvements, which are these are being offered for lease, being used in trade or business, ordinary asset. C. Real property initially acquired by a taxpayer engaged in real estate business but subsequently abandoned or become idle is still an ordinary asset, okay? Pag discontinue mo, hindi niya ma-change yung character of the asset. It's still an ordinary asset. Dog yung sagot natin for number 2. Real property transferred through succession or donation to the heir of donee who is not engaged in real estate. So hindi siya ordinary course of business. And who does not subsequently use such property in trade or business. That's a capital asset. Number 3, under Section 39B of the Tax Code, how much shall be taken into account in computing the net income if a gain is realized by an individual from the sale or exchange other than real properties more than 12 months? Pag more than 12 months, yung holding period natin, ang tawag natin dyan is long-term capital gain, okay, or loss. Well, since individual to, 50% yan. Letter A yung sagot natin. 50% of the net capital gain. Where the taxpayer is a corporation, which of the following is true? A. The holding period does not apply. Hence, capital gains and losses are recognized at 50%. Okay, sana yung first sentence o yung first part The holding period does not apply. Okay yun. Pero nakalagay, hence, capital gains or losses are recognized at 50. Yun yung pamali. Dapat 100% yan. B. Ordinary loss is always deductible in full. Actually, true yun. Okay, whether individual or corporation, since ordinary asset yan, lahat ng ordinary gains, i-report natin. Lahat ng ordinary losses, i-report natin. Walang limit, walang limit. Deductible in full yan. Boy is correct. C. The net capital loss can be carried over in the next succeeding year. Okay sana, kaya lang corporation yung pinag-uusapan natin. Net capital loss doesn't apply for corporations. Dog, capital loss is deductible only to the extent of ordinary gains. Okay sana, kaya lang ordinary gains dapat capital gains. Boy yung sagot natin. Number 5, rules on capital gains and losses of corporations. A. Capital gains or losses are recognized to the extent of 100% regardless of the holding period. That's correct. B. The net capital loss carryover is not applicable. That's also correct. C. Capital losses are deductible only to the extent of capital gains. Correct. There's a final tax of 15% on real property sold. Well, pinag-uusapan natin dito, class, capital gains and losses na hindi gains and losses yan. Tama? Yung pinag-uusapan natin. Yung letter D, again, yung 15% na final tax na yan, una, real property yan. So, ibig sabihin 6% yan. 15% applicable yan sa unlisted shares. Okay, so mali na yun doon. Number 6, which of the following taxpayers is allowed to observe the no holding period and no carryover corporation? Boy. Number 7, which of the following is subject to 6% capital gains tax? A. Sale of condo units by a real estate dealer? Nope, ordinary asset yan. Sale of apartment houses? Nope, used in business yan, so ordinary asset. C. Sale of vacant lot by an employee? Yes, okay. Hindi siya used in business, capital asset. So C yung sagot. Sale of real property utilized for office use, used in business? Nope, ordinary asset. Letter C for number 7. Number 8, Mr. X bought a parcel of residential land for 1 million sometime in 2020 for personal use. He sold the same to Mr. Y for 2 million. The transaction is subject to 6% capital gains tax. Is it true? Answer is yes, real property, ano? Okay. And nakalagay for personal use. Ibig sabihin, capital asset yan. Hindi ginamit sa business eh. Answer natin dito is A, is true. Okay? Now class, yung boy dito, sir, yung boy ba, hindi ba tama rin yan? False if Mr. X is engaged in real estate business. Ang nagpamali dyan class, take note na yung residential land, even if si Mr. X engages sa business, hindi niya ginamit sa business yung residential land. For personal use niya ginamit yan. Okay? So even if property developer siya, okay, since hindi naman niya ginamit yon as ibebenta originally sa mga customers niya, for personal use yan, capital asset yan. Gets? Okay. Kaya mali yung B. Final answer dito is A. Okay? It's true. Alright, let's go to number 9. A client not engaged in realty business. Okay, ibig sabihin, hindi property developer. It means capital asset. Tama? Paid in full the 50,000 attorney's fees of his counsel in lot, which he bought for 500, which is a fair market value of 600. Which of these is correct? Okay, A, the client transferor is subject to final capital gains tax based on 500,000. Dapat fair market value kasi higher, 600. Boy, the client transfer is not subject to final capital gains tax. False, subject yan kasi capital asset. C, the client transferor is subject to final gains tax of 600. That's correct, based on 600. So, 600,000 times 6% yung magiging CGT dito. Okay, letter C sagot. The client transfer is subject to income tax for the difference in 550. C yung sagot natin. Number 10, Mr. X, a resident citizen, owns a property converted into apartment units. So, ginawa mo siyang apartment units, therefore, ordinary assets na yan. With a monthly rental of 10,000. He subsequently sold the property to Mr. Y, resident alien. The sale shall be subject to, since ordinary asset yan, pupunta na yan ng gross income mo. Therefore, basic income tax yung sagot natin, letter A. Basic income tax or tax table yung gagamitin natin dyan. Gets? Number 11, the CGT on sale of real properties shall be paid within 30 days from the sale of disposition. Actually, true yan, class, no? Statement 1. Statement 2, the determination of 6% CGT is based on the net capital gains. False. Hindi siya based sa gains. Based sa selling price or fair market value, whichever is higher. Number 3, or statement 3, proceeds of sale shall be classified as capital asset may be exempt. True yun. Maybe. Okay? True, false, and true. Answer natin is boy. 2 of the above statements are correct. Alright. Number 12, in computing gain or loss from the sale of other possession of property acquired as a gift or donation, the basis shall be, okay, kaka-answer na natin. Kapag gift or donation siya, letter C yung sagot. The same as it would be in the hands of the donor. Okay, letter C. Number 13, all of the following except 1 results to a capital gain or loss. Okay, letter A, gain on short sales. Kakasabi lang natin, yes yan. Option loss, tama. Worthless securities, nandun siya sa enumerate natin sa last part of our G sheets. Ordinary gains, obviously, hindi yan capital gain or loss. So, dog yung sagot natin for number 13. Plus, bago ko pala makalimutan, no? Meron ding important concept din to. Under section 40, okay, of the tax code, no? Merong minention doon na tax-free exchanges. Okay? Tax-free exchanges. Sir, what do you mean by tax-free exchanges? Okay, explain ko yan later. Pero ito muna yung general rule natin. Yung general rule natin, class, upon sale or exchange of property, okay, the entire amount, okay, of gain or loss shall be recognized. Okay, yun yung general rule natin. So, for example, class, nagbenta ako, no? Di ba, selling price minus cost yun yung gain or loss ko, tama? Ngayon, pwede rin na, instead of binenta ko siya sa cash, nag-exchange kami ng property. Okay, nakakuha ko ng machinery, binigay ko sa kanya, equipment, for example. Mag-compute ka rin ng gain or loss doon, okay? Kaya sabi dyan, upon sale or exchange of property, the entire amount of gain or loss shall be recognized. Okay? Yun yung general rule natin. Now, class, may exception tayo dyan. Okay? Ito yung exception natin. Kaya siya tinawag na tax-free. Okay? Ibig sabihin, exception, exempt siya from, okay? Exempt siya sa income tax. Okay? Exempt siya sa CGT. Okay? Documentary stamp tax and VAT. Ayan. So, take note, ha? So, marami siyang exemption, 4 na taxes. Ito yun. Whenever meron tayong tinatawag na reorganization. Okay? Yung reorganization happens in 2 cases. Okay? Number 1 is transfer to a controlled corporation. And then, yung isa naman, class, is there is a merger or consolidation. Okay? I'll give you an example. Illustration. Let's say, class, tumunta tayo sa transfer to a controlled corporation. Si Mr. X, bumili ng shares ni ABC Corporation. Okay? Now, ang binigay ni X, no, instead of cash, ang binigay ni X property. Okay? For example, land. Ayan. Pumayag si ABC, o sige, land na lang bigay mo sa akin instead of cash. No? In exchange, nagbigay si ABC ng shares kay Mr. X. Okay? Sa transaction na yung, class, nagkaroon ng control si Mr. X wherein more than 50% ng shares nakuha ni Mr. X. Tama, di ba sa accounting ganun yun? More than 50%, may control ka na, tama? Ngayong class, yung ganyan scenario, kapag yung property, transfer mo ito a controlled corporation, exempt ka. Okay? No gain or loss. Alright? Kaya sinabi siyang tax-free exchange. Ibig sabihin yan. Okay? Transfer to a controlled corporation. Number 2 naman class is there is a merger or consolidation. Let's say si XYZ Corporation, okay, bumili ng shares ni ABC. Okay? So instead of cash, property yung binigay niya. Okay? In exchange, nagbigay ng shares si ABC. Nag-merge sila. Okay? Nag-merge sila, nagsama sila. Okay? Actually, pag-aaral natin in afar yan. Or nag-combine sila ng dalawa. Pag nagkaroon ng merger, ang transfer ng isa is property, yung isa naman shares, no gain or loss, exempt sila. Okay? Tanda mo, ang tawag dyan, reorganization. Actually, sa create, may slight difference dyan. No? Sa create kasi, medyo dinagdagan yung mga instances na kung kailan merong tax-free exchanges. Pero essentially, ganito lang din yung setup nun. Tanda mo lang, pag nagkaroon ng control, more than 50%, ang pinambayad mo in exchange mo is property. Di ba? Pag merger or conso, more than 50% din yan. Pag ganung class, tanda mo, magka-qualify siya under tax-free exchange, exempt siya sa income tax, CGT, DST, and VAT. Alright? So, inano ko lang, minention ko lang yan, just in case may encounter mo yan. Let's go to number 14, a transaction in which a speculator sells securities which he does not own. He merely borrows a stock certificate in anticipation of a decline in price. Ang tawag natin doon, short sale. Okay? In-illustrate ko earlier yan. Ito. Short selling. So, boy. Number 15, last 3 items, class. Okay? A bought from B Corporation 10 shares of stock. 6 days thereafter, the corporation was adjudged bankrupt and its stock as worthless. The loss of A to be reported for income tax purposes is classified as, okay, hindi naman sinabi na yung shares. Well, pag shares yan, for sure capital asset yan, tama? A, wagering loss. B, non-deductible loss. Answer dito, short-term capital loss. Okay? Letter C. Number 16, gain from sale of real property classified as capital asset located abroad by a resident citizen. Take note class, pag nagbenta ka ng real property, before siya maging subject to 6% CGT, it must be located in the Philippines. Kapag hindi siya located in the Philippines, answer mo dito class is DOG. Okay? Section 24A. Ibig sabihin yung tax table gagamitin. Kapag located abroad and resident citizen ka, kasi taxable ka within and without, ang taxation mo sa gain na yun will be considered siya as ordinary income. Okay? Magiging subject to tax table. So, DOG yung sagot natin for number 16. And last one, Mr. X sold to Mr. Y shares of stocks not traded in an exchange for consideration of 20. So, it is a capital asset. Tama? Mr. X should pay capital gains tax? Yes. Donor stocks? Yes. Donor stocks yan kasi binenta mo for 20 pero ang fair market value niya 50. Actually, next time, donor stocks, i-discuss natin. Pero in that case, since magkaiba yung selling price sa fair market value, difference yan, subject to donor stocks. Documentary stamp tax kasi merong mga stock certificate na involved yan, kailangan mo bayad ng DST. So, answer dito, all of the above. CGT, donor stocks, DST, babayaran mo lahat yan. Okay? Answer natin 17 is DOG, all of the above. Ayan, that concludes our discussion on capital assets.